There's nothing more romantic than fantasy, and we can make the war on terror distract them like videos and TV shows with scantily clad women, cover them with oil, rub it in like lotion, put F-16s in the skies and battleships in the ocean. The voters won't notice. Tell them you're either with us or you're against us, and in the same breath over-vaccinate our soldiers. They'll want to believe these lies are the truth, to the point that even Cynthia McKinney with proof won't be able to convince them that there's a connection between the war on terror and the Carlisle group. They'll need to believe these lies are true. I said over-vaccinate our soldiers and coat their ammunition with radioactive DU. Fear is the final frontier of the defenseless. If it's logical, tell them it's senseless. You're either with us or you're against us. It's all about confusion. Name it the Patriot Act if it acts against the Constitution. One man, one vote is a joke. You should be more concerned about your family being broke. Poof. Mirrors. Smoke. Now, watch me raise spending and lower taxes. The answer to any question that the 911 Commission might ask is, we believe that stem cell research is immoral. North Korea has WMD's translation, time for Operation Iraqi Freedom. Sacrifice American lives on Baghdad soil, earn more from our investments in defense, and increase our supply of oil. The question is, how come we haven't done anything about the genocide in Darfur? The answer is, we believe in protecting the sanctity of marriage. Just give them a slogan. Let's roll. We're gonna smoke them out of their holes. Watch the hands, watch the hands. In this hand, Osama bin Laden. In this hand, the World Trade Center explodes. Now, I know you want me to get them for you, but the $200 billion question is, how much is it worth to you for me to allow my cronies' investments in defense to work for you? Don't worry about what we knew prior to the fact about the attacks. That's a distraction. Carol Ann, look away from the oil fields. The important thing to remember is that voting for my opponent will get you killed. There's a connection between his election and your family's demise. That's why African-American voters have to be disenfranchised. Neo-democracy means that the electronic voting machine companies get to help us decide. That way you can win the election and still lose. That's the new world order. Global economy, no borders, no sovereignty, widow's cries, corporate plutocracy, true lies.
Whites are so evenly divided that every time they vote, the race is so close, they have to go back and count the votes all over again. And which means that any block, any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse.
Black people are going to make the difference. When we vote, we win.
Gore, the winner in Florida.
All along, George W. Bush had been telling everybody, I'm going to carry Florida.
Florida has been prematurely called.
Not at all. I'm upbeat. I just don't believe we've got enough evidence to be able to call the state. We're actually counting the votes.
On behalf of the State Elections Canvassing Commission, and in accordance with the laws of the state of Florida, I hereby declare Governor George W. Bush the winner of Florida's 25 electoral votes.
Florida goes to Mr. Bush. Just stop and absorb that for a second. Florida is going to go for Mr. Bush.
System is on trial. If the vote is off in Palm Beach County, what about the vote in Iowa? What about the vote in Mississippi? What about the vote in Alabama?
They try to turn people away, and it's not right. We need to stop all of this. No recall. We need a re-election in Florida tonight.
Please don't over-exaggerate the incidences that, the accusations.
I truly believe in my heart that if all of the votes have been counted in Florida, and if all of the African Americans had had an opportunity to cast a vote, George Bush would have never been president of the United States. We wouldn't be involved in a war in Iraq. And the makeup of the Supreme Court would be different.
I'm not a scientist and I don't know much about formulas, but someone is trying to create a formula. Maybe they've already created a formula. If we use what happened in this past election, if I stop people at the polls before they get to the polls, if this was to happen again, would it prove to us that someone has a formula?
Around 7 o'clock on the day of the elections. That was when I got the first phone call telling me that something untoward was happening in Florida.
I was on my way to vote. There was a roadblock, and there were approximately 5 highway patrolmen there, and they stopped me. He asked me for my driver's license.
I present my voter's registration to the lady, and with my driver's license, she said my name wasn't on the paper.
What do you mean I can't vote? She said, you have been sent an absentee ballot, and therefore you can't vote.
The supervisor wanted to talk to me. We have you listed as a convicted felon. You have been purged from our system. You've lost all your civil rights.
One person, one vote. One person, one vote. Everybody matters. Every vote matters. Keep hope alive.
I was slingshotted into slavery. That's how I felt.
The suppression of the black vote is a key indicator. If we're stopped at the ballot booth, I think that the prospects for democracy surviving are quite dim.
The NAACP are calling on the Justice Department to launch a civil rights review.
I don't believe the American people, even to this day, really understand what happened in Florida 2000. At every precinct, there is something called the voter list. And if your name is not on the voter list, then you're not allowed to vote.
5 months before the 2000 election, Jeb Bush, governor of Florida, and Katherine Harris, his Secretary of State, ordered the removal of 57,000 voters from the voter rolls. Supposedly, these were felons, criminals not allowed to vote. In fact, 97% were innocent.
And it just so happened that most of them on that list were Black and Latino.
I'm not guessing because I got a hold of the computer files. Next to the names are the voters' races.
Ms. Harris, you're aware of allegations that a private firm that you contracted with produced a list of purported felons who were taken off the voter registration list?
Yes, I am aware.
And you became aware of the concerns raised about the legitimacy of the lists that were provided by the private firm?
Yes, I became aware.
And what action did you take in response to becoming aware of those concerns?
If, again, I'm going to refer that to Mr. Roberts and that he's in charge of those day-to-day operations.
What specific actions did you take, Mr. Roberts?
In putting the data together, there were identified by the supervisors of elections a significant number of persons who had not committed felonies that were identified on the list.
Excuse me, Ms. Harris, when did you become aware of the concerns about the list provided by the firm?
Again, because our division director would have made me aware, brought this to my attention. I'll have to refer to him because I'm not certain of the specific date.
Okay, I'm trying to move this along, Mr. Roberts. You're not helping me out because I'm not getting a specific
I'm not trying to stall you. I'm trying to.
But you're not giving me the information we're asking. Please.